So this article talking about obesity in children aged 4 and 5 at its highest level outside the pandemic. Data found 10.5% of children in reception, more than a fifth in year 6 were obese in 24-25, with boys more likely to be overweight than girls. I was actually asked to share my thoughts on this as a primary school teacher, and a couple of things I've said have been included in the article, which I will put in the link of this video, but some of it wasn't, which is why I want to share my thoughts on this video. One of the biggest contributing factors, in my opinion, and it was only touched upon in the article, is I think it's impossible to talk about childhood obesity without talking about how early years support has disappeared. Again, I'm going to mention Sure Start centres. When they were all closed due to austerity measures, families lost a lifeline. Those places offered advice on healthy eating, parenting, child development, and gave children somewhere to play and learn. And without that foundation, again, it's been left to schools. But by the time children start reception, so many of these habits around food, activity, screen time, they're already set. Linked in with austerity measures, look at the loss in affordable community spaces, leisure centres, playgrounds. Many families left with nowhere to take their children to be active. What did get mentioned in the article was how the Tories, after the 2012 Olympics, just basically cut all school sport funding. This promise to inspire a generation faded very quickly. So many schools lost specialist PE teachers. There wasn't anywhere near as many competitions, and just exposure for children to get into sport. And PE time is often squeezed because of pressures on the timetable. Obviously, I talk about how you can't separate childhood obesity from poverty either. And obviously, schools play their part through PE lessons, healthy lifestyles, but they can't solve this alone. There needs to be that investment in early year support, affordable community sport that families can access, but also making sure healthy choices are realistic for families. I was also asked whether I think food has an impact on attention and behaviour in schools. And the point I made is, obviously, with the cost of living crisis, a lot of children coming into school and not having food will obviously have an impact. Over the summer, I did read this book, Stolen Focus, by Johann Hari, and I'd highly recommend it. In there is a chapter talking about diet and the impact ultra-processed foods can have on the collapse of human attention. And there's quite a few things he talks about in that book that you can pause and have a read through here if you wish. Look, I'm not putting the blame at parents, because I understand how difficult and how hard things are at the minute in the current cost of living crisis, and the fact that access to unhealthy food is a lot easier for families. And when parents are working long hours, struggling to make ends meet, healthy living becomes almost an impossible task. I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think can be done to improve this issue.